Whether we realize it or not, our digital lives are constantly writing a story about us every day. Your location, the songs you stream, even your heart rate, it's all being recorded. But what if all that noise could be turned into, well, a meaningful story? One that captures not just what you did, but who you were in that exact moment.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. Years from now, your kid asks you what it was like before they were born. And instead of just trying to rack your brain, you open up a book and you read this. This isn't just a memory. It's the story of the first time you heard their heartbeat, captured with perfect clarity. Not just the date, but the feeling of relief, the grip of your partner's hand, the incredible harmony of two hearts beating together as one. And that tiny heartbeat, that becomes chapter one in a life story. The craziest part? It's a story that's already being written down, captured by the tech we carry around with us every single day. Look, this isn't just about collecting a bunch of data points. It's about capturing the real substance of our experiences. You know, that feeling of anticipation before a big trip, or the quiet satisfaction of finishing a tough project, or even just the simple joy of a walk in the park. What if there was a way to automatically save that emotional texture of our lives? This idea of an automated memorist. I know, sounds a little like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what's the technology that can actually pull this off? How do we really turn all these scattered digital breadcrumbs into a coherent, emotional story? Well, meet Doris. It's an AI platform that hooks into your digital life, your photos, your music, your calendar, your fitness tracker, the whole shebang, and it automatically drafts these private daily chapters for you, written in your own voice. It's designed to be your silent, personal historian. So why does something like Doris even need to exist? Well, it's here to solve a really modern problem. We have more data about our lives than any generation in history, but we remember it so poorly. I mean, who has the time to journal every day? And all our data is fragmented across, dozens of different apps? Plus, most of us aren't exactly professional storytellers. The result is a life that's exhaustively measured, but not really meaningfully remembered. So how does the story actually get built? How does this all work? Let's pull back the curtain a little bit and see how Doris turns all that digital noise into a narrative that actually feels like you. The whole process is actually incredibly straightforward. And the best part is it all just hums along quietly in the background. First, you connect your digital accounts. Then, Doris starts capturing data points and calls them moments. After that, it groups those moments into logical sequences from your day. And finally, the AI drafts a chapter that pulls it all together. So yes, step one is super simple. You just give Doris the green light to see signals from the apps you're already using every day. Things like Google, Apple, Spotify, Fitbit. And this is absolutely crucial. It's all opt-in and it's completely private. You are always in the driver's seat of what Doris gets to see. And this is where it gets really smart. Doris moves way beyond just raw data. It doesn't just see a random location ping and a heart rate spike. No, it clusters those moments into parts of your day that you'd actually recognize. So a string of location pings, a high heart rate, and a running playlist, that becomes Sunset Run at Crissy Field. A calendar event and a location, that becomes Lunch with Alex. It's building a real timeline of your life. I mean, this is what most of our apps see, right? They see 3.63 miles, a couple of wearable entries, 4 messages. It's just a list of numbers, impersonal, raw data. It tells you what happened, but it doesn't have a clue about why any of it mattered. But Doris finds the human story hidden inside all that data. So, for example, it might see a grandpa's calm heart rate in his workshop, a few calendar notes, and photos of his grandson visiting. And from that, it doesn't just write down a list of events, it preserves a legacy. It captures the feeling of a quiet afternoon spent passing down wisdom from one generation to the next. And that example just illustrates it so perfectly. Doris isn't just for one type of person or one type of story. It's a tool that's really designed to preserve all kinds of different legacies, creating chapters for every single life. So, who is this actually for? Well, it's for the family historian who wants to save every little detail of a child's first years or capture a grandparent's incredible stories. But it's also for the founder who wants to document that grueling, amazing journey of building a company, turning that whole experience into a roadmap for someone else. It really just adapts to whatever story you're living. Just take the founder of a gym who used Doris. He connected his messages, his calendar, his location history, his finances. And Doris didn't just log the wins.
No, it captured the late nights, the financial stress, those moments of crippling doubt, and then the incredible breakthroughs. It helped to remember the real story, not just the glossy picture-perfect version. So this brings us to the really big picture, the long-term vision. What happens when all these daily chapters start stacking up, building into a lifetime? Well, that's where we get to this idea of the narrative layer. The long-term vision here is, honestly, it's pretty profound. It's to become the narrative layer for our lives. So instead of our memories and our experiences being scattered across dozens of different platforms, Doris aims to be that one single place that keeps your personal story coherent, searchable, and, most importantly, yours over the course of decades. And look, this isn't just some futuristic fantasy. It's grounded in a massive existing market. This $8 billion number, that's what people are already spending on journaling apps, wellness apps, and productivity tools. They're actively looking for ways to make sense of their lives, but there's nothing out there that really connects all the dots like this. So it really all boils down to this. Our lives are already being recorded every single day. The data is out there. A story is being written whether we're paying attention to it or not. And that leaves us with one final and really important question to think about. Who's in control of your narrative?
So today we're going to dive into a platform called Doris. The idea is pretty wild. It promises to turn your digital life into your autobiography, automatically. But, to really understand an idea this big, you have to understand the person who dreamed it up. So that brings us to the real question of this explainer. Who is Terry Hinton? Let's find out. Just let that sink in for a second. This quote really hits at the heart of it all. Imagine finding not just old photos of your grandfather, but his entire life story perfectly captured. That's the promise here. It's not about leaving stuff behind. It's about leaving your story behind, the real one. This idea sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. All right, so that whole idea of a preserved story, it kind of shines a light on a huge problem we all have right now. We create an unbelievable amount of digital stuff every single day. But what is it all for? What story is it actually telling? And this is it. This is the core problem. We track every step we take, every beat of our hearts, every song we listen to. We are absolutely drowning in data about ourselves, but we're starving for the story. The why behind it all just gets lost in the noise. Just think about your own phone right now. Your workout is in one app. Your photos are in another. The music you are blasting is on Spotify, and that quick coffee meeting is in your Google Calendar. They are all little pieces of the same day, but they're stuck in these little digital boxes that don't talk to each other. So what if there was something that could just sit in the background, quietly connecting all those dots? A system that doesn't ask you to do any more work, but just looks at the digital trail you're already leaving and starts writing the first draft of your story for you.
Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how would that actually work? Let's pop the hood and see how this silent architect is supposed to turn all that random data into, a diary.
So here's the official definition. Doris is basically an AI that acts as your personal memoirist. You just connect the apps and gadgets you already use, and it gets to work, writing these private, daily chapters in your own voice. The key thing to get here is that it's not about creating more stuff. It's about making sense of what's already there.
And the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you connect your stuff. You're totally in control of what you share. Then, Doris pulls in all those little data points and calls them moments. Next, the smart part. It groups those moments together into logical chunks, like morning coffee or afternoon walk. And then, the magic. The AI writes the first draft of your day. That whole staring at a blank page problem, gone. And this visual just makes it all click. Look at the left. That's the raw data. It's just a messy jumble of times and events. It's information, sure, but it's not a story. Now, look at the right. Doris has woven it all together. You can see the day unfold, a lunch meeting, a run as the sun sets, then winding down at home. It's the same data, but now it has a narrative. It has meaning.
So we have this really powerful idea and a super elegant system. But a project this ambitious, it doesn't just fall out of the sky. It takes a very specific kind of person to even think of this, let alone try to build it. Which, of course, brings us right back to our original question. Yeah, who exactly has that unique mix of skills? You'd need to be an analyst, a designer, and a storyteller all wrapped into one to pull this off. So, who is Terry Hinton? Well, one thing's for sure. This was not an overnight thing. This is a journey that's been in the making for over a decade. You can see way back in 2007, he was already thinking like an inventor. Then he gets 2 master's degrees and very deliberately picks jobs that are all about finding the story inside of messy data. It's almost like every single step was training for this one project.
Now, this is what I find so fascinating. Take a look at these past inventions. A self-igniting cigarette, a surveillance system for civil rights, a gym app. I mean, at first they seem totally random, right? But if you look closer, there's a pattern. Every single one is about finding a pain point in daily life and using tech to make things just simpler. And boom, there it is, right from the man himself. Doris isn't just another project on the list. It's the culmination of everything he's been doing for years, observing people, wrestling with data, and figuring out how technology can actually serve us instead of just making our lives more complicated.
Okay, a powerful vision is great. A founder with a compelling backstory is even better. But here's the big question. Can this actually be a business? Let's see where this beautiful idea of preserving memory meets the cold, hard reality of the market.
So the potential here is, well, it's huge. The market for stuff like journaling apps, wellness trackers, and self-improvement tools is somewhere in the ballpark of $30 to $40 billion. The main point is, people are already spending a ton of money trying to solve this exact problem of understanding themselves better.
But, a number like 40 billion is so big it's kind of meaningless. What that number is really built on is countless tiny individual moments. It's built on millions of people just trying to make sense of their days. That's the real human need that makes this a real business opportunity.
So where does Doris fit into all this? Well, you've got your journaling apps, but the problem is you have to do all the work. Then you've got your health apps like Aura or Fitbit, which give you tons of data, but no story. Doris wants to live in that sweet spot right in the middle, automating the storytelling from the data you already have.
The business model is refreshingly simple. It's a subscription. And that's really important because it means they're not selling your data or showing you ads. Their only job is to provide so much value that you're happy to pay for it every month. Simple as that. So where does all this go? I mean, what's the long-term play here? What's the ultimate vision for a platform that wants to write the book of your life, chapter by chapter?
Wow. Okay, so that is not a small goal. The idea isn't to be just another app. It's to become a fundamental layer of our digital lives, something that creates this coherent, searchable, personal story that grows with you for decades. The goal is to make sure that a life so fully lived is also a life fully remembered.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about for ourselves. If a system like this was quietly putting together the pieces of your life, your music, your walks, your messages, all those little moments, what patterns would you see? What would you learn about yourself? What story is your data already telling?